German Chancellor Angela Merkel finds herself in quarantine isolation because of a foreign virus. How's that for irony? We're going to take a look at what's going on with the German Chancellor, the once great champion of a borderless world, and how her globalist dreams are imploding everywhere we speak because of this coronavirus. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you as always. A super happy quarantine Monday to each and every one of you. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. A warm welcome to all of our first-time viewers. If this is your first time at our channel, we post 2 videos a day analyzing current events in light of super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel. You're going to love this online community. Just read the comment section. Great people to interact. I love posting each and every day. And we get together to celebrate the collapse of left-wing globalism, the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. You knew I'd get that in there, right? We got to celebrate that each and every day. All right, before we get into Angela Merkel's quarantine, make sure to download your free gift, which we put together just for you. We're calling it our Fake News Antidote. We need antidotes today, and especially fake news ones, which is a compilation of 20 plus sites that I go to for my news each and every day. You can download it completely free at the link down below in the pinned comment section. I believe we've had over 10,000 downloaded, so I can't thank you enough, and I hope you enjoy that. And finally, let me ask you, why do you invest? Is it mainly for financial reasons? What if you had a different perspective? Maybe one that included making a positive impact on America. Well, our good friends, our sponsors, American Values Investments, they specialize in helping patriotic Americans invest in companies that best reflect timeless American values. Values like integrity, caring, and courage. Even during economic downturns, which may include a decline in their stock price, these companies, with the help of their shareholders, are still having a positive impact on our country. Just think about that. There's risk in the stock market, and this ad does not constitute an endorsement, but if you want to learn more about how your investments can help America, well then check them out at AmericanValues.com or simply click on the link below. Make sure to tell them Dr. Steve sent you. You'll be glad that you did. All right, you know, I came across this over the weekend, and I just thought we got to do a video on this. This is irony of ironies. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has gone into quarantine after learning that her doctor, who recently examined her, has tested positive for the coronavirus. Now, apparently Merkel had just received a precautionary vaccine, I believe on Friday, and then it was subsequently revealed that the doctor who administered the vaccine has since then tested positive for the coronavirus. And so Merkel is now officially in quarantine until she takes the test to see if the tests are positive for the virus for her. And of course, I'm sure I just couldn't help but think how ironic this is. This same Angela Merkel, who back in 2015 literally opened up the whole of the European continent to a migrant invasion that totaled over 1 million refugees from Northern Africa and the Middle East entering into Europe in a matter of mere months. This Angela Merkel, who declared that open borders were a distinctively European value, this same Merkel is now isolated in her home precisely because of a foreign virus. And this after implementing some of the strictest rules on our own population of any country in Europe. I've been reading that Germans are severely limited in terms of movement outside of their home to try to curb the nearly 24,000 or over 24,000 infections in the German nation at this time. In other words, is it not sad that it took a global pandemic for Germany and indeed the whole of Europe to finally close their borders and minimize international movement when this could have been done 5 years ago? And just imagine, had that been done 5 years ago, had Europe taken their borders seriously like the nationalist populist right was calling on them to do 5 years ago, just imagine how different things could have been today. Now, this ironic isolation on the part of Merkel it corresponds with a mass turn away from her globalist worldview. That view that sees a world without borders as the ideal world. What we're finding is that that worldview has all but completely and totally collapsed in the hearts and minds of the vast majority of the world's population, most especially Europe. According to a new Ipsos Reuters poll that surveyed 12,000 people across 12 of the world's major nations, found that populations overwhelmingly support shutting down their borders completely, at least until the coronavirus is contained. In Italy, and this of course turns out to be no surprise, the survey found that 3/4 of Italians supported their nation closing its borders down completely. 76% support that measure, which, keep in mind, their leftist government has had to do. Remember, Italy had to switch, well, it didn't have to, but Italy switched from a nationalist populist government to a leftist populist government that was all for open borders. And that's exactly what happened under the Democrat leader, Matteo Renzi. Italy started talking and taking in refugees by the thousands. Those days, gang, are over. They're over, even for the left wing at this point. I know when the whole pandemic is done, the left is going to try to do everything they can to bring those days back. But I can assure you, they are going to fail miserably. In India, the survey found that 80% want their borders closed. In the Russian Federation, 70%. Same with Australia, 70% want their borders closed. Even in Canada, gang, 60% of Canadians wanted their borders shut. And their wish was Trudeau's command, if you can believe it. Trudeau, to his credit, has shut down Canada's borders. Now, remember, originally, when all said and done, we can't forget this, the center-left politicians around the world were very, very hesitant to do this, right? Don't forget good old crying Chuck Schumer's tweet when Trump originally closed the border to China, when he did the travel ban. Remember, it's since been deleted, this tweet. But when Trump announced a travel ban from China, Schumer came out and excoriated Trump for being capricious and impulsive. And he actually accused him, saying that closing of the border to China was nothing more than an extension of Trump's war on immigrants, okay? That's how the left wing originally responded here. Now even soy boy Trudeau is a nationalist populist when it comes to border security. Same with the bullies in Brussels and the EU. The EU is shutting their continental borders down for 30 days. Same with Macron's France. And yes, irony of all ironies, even Angela Merkel's Germany has begun to seal off its borders in the midst of this pandemic. But keep in mind that the vast majority of the world's population was already there, right? They were nationalist populists well before these leftist leaders caught up and said, all right, we'll be nationalist populists too, all right? Now we are all nationalist populists when it comes to our border security. It just took the left a longer time to get there, but they're even there. And what we're finding is that European leaders in particular are indeed embracing the nationalist populist vision for the continent as a whole. Remix News is reporting that European countries are indeed increasingly choosing to care for the needs of their own citizens over migrants as the coronavirus spreads. The simple fact of the matter is that Europe's resources are being stretched to their limit in their attempt to fight against the spread of this pandemic, keep it contained. And so leaders in places like Greece and even Belgium, they're beginning to implement policies reflective of what is called welfare chauvinism. This is becoming almost the default position throughout Europe. Welfare chauvinism is the idea that only citizens of a nation can have access to public benefits such as welfare and healthcare and various other social services. Now, just a few years back, say 2015, welfare chauvinism was ridiculed as far-right extremism. Only the so-called far-right, radical right parties were pushing for implementing welfare chauvinism as a permanent part of their public policy. Now, everyone's doing it. It's increasingly par for the course in Europe. Even leftist parties like the Social Democrats in Denmark and Die Linke in Germany are advocating some form of welfare chauvinism. This is how much the European continent has changed in a mere 5 years. It's stunning stuff, and we've been tracking with it with the last 3 since we started November 1st, 2016. Remix is reporting that nations such as Belgium and Greece are cutting social services for migrants in the midst of their national lockdowns. Migrant centers in Belgium in particular are taking some pretty vigorous steps to prevent an outbreak there, including shutting down services and reception centers for asylum seekers and refusing all new asylum seeker applications. I'm sure many of you know President Trump has instituted similar measures here in the United States. The Trump administration has announced that all asylum seekers and illegal border crossers will be turned away from the United States and immediately returned to Mexico, or in the case of the northern border, Canada, as the case may be, under a proposed policy change due, of course, to the coronavirus. The Trump administration has announced that they will immediately turn back all asylum seekers and other foreigners trying to cross the southwestern border illegally, saying simply that they cannot risk allowing the coronavirus to spread through detention facilities and, by extension, among border agents. Now, of course, all ports of entry will remain open to American citizens. We did a video on that. Green card holders and foreigners with proper documentation can still, of course, get in, as well as commercial traffic. But really, under the new rule, Border Patrol agents would immediately return to Mexico anyone who tries to cross the southern border illegally, including asylum seekers. I'm sure many of you know this. I think it's the same in Europe. But up until this point, generally speaking, if an asylum seeker is caught entering into a country illegally, they're held for any length of time in that country in which they were caught. So if they were caught on the southern border of the United States, they cross over, then they'd be held in an American facility for due process. As of this Trump directive, and like what we're seeing in Europe, if caught, you're denied access to the country of origin or the country that you've crossed into, any of their facilities or anything like that. You are sent back to your country of origin, where you came from. In this case, in the United States, you'd be returned to Mexico without any further detention here in the United States. So this is all further evidence that the world really is turning away from the vision of a borderless, globalist society. Those days, every day I read the reports, are really over. This virus has done more to turn the world into a post-globalist political and economic order, really like nothing else. And to me, nothing absolutely symbolizes that more than the sequestered isolation of one German Chancellor, Angela Merkel. Now, before you go, you definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it. We show how the Trump-hating Rachel Maddow of MSNBC is being used right now as state-sponsored anti-American propaganda by the Chinese government. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.